What up, friendos? Today, we're talking about Sam Bankman-Fried, everyone's favorite big-time cryptocurrency fraud, allegedly. He's currently in federal jail waiting for his trial. He was out on, I think it was a $250 million bond, but the judge revoked it on, I believe, August 11th-ish. Essentially, they said he was tampering with witnesses and just impeding the case and doing things he shouldn't have been doing, been a naughty boy. So he's currently in jail, and there's a thread here on Twitter. As an engineer at Alameda Research, I had my entire life savings stolen from me by my former boss, Sam Bankman-Fried. Now, after months of recuperation from the craziness of the FTX collapse, I'm ready to tell my story. Let's start at the beginning. Only 25 tweets, which is fairly small, but I think this should be interesting for people that have been following this along, because from all accounts, Sam Bankman-Fried was a bit of a weird guy and did weird things. If you look through the court documents and things like that, the stuff that the federal government have put forward in their investigation, it just reads like this guy's just doing whatever the fuck he wants at all times. So this should be interesting from someone who was right next to him, basically. If you don't know, by the way, about this story, Alameda is the other company from FTX. Essentially, FTX was the public one where everyone was putting all their money thinking, oh, our cryptocurrency is safe here. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin, as the saying goes. They essentially took the main perk of cryptocurrency, the main selling point everyone used to tell you, which was, oh, you don't have the bank holding your money, so it's only you that's in custody of it, and it's fully safe because you've got a hold of it. And then they all gave it to a centralized entity, essentially like a bank, which was FTX, of course, and of Binance, things like this. These centralized exchanges, it's where a lot of people hold their cryptocurrency for some reason instead of on their own, and then thought it was just safe there, just sitting there. Of course, the business that's being operated shouldn't ever go bankrupt because they're just taking money on transaction fees and things like that. But instead, what Sam Bankman-Fried was doing was taking all of the money on the back end from FTX and funneling it into his other company, Alameda Research, which he was doing a bunch of stuff, political donations, sponsoring of esports teams, buying of stuff, crazy risky investments. And then when he started losing the money, he couldn't pay the people their actual bank balance. Well, not bank, but you know what I mean, their balance on their exchange account, because the money just wasn't there anymore. So the classic robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then obviously you've not got enough money to pay Peter or Paul or rob anybody because you've robbed everybody. So this guy working at Alameda is not at the exchange, but obviously should have some fairly interesting insight. Why is waifu trending on my Twitter? What the fuck? So I still remember my first time meeting Sam. It was my first day of work at the office. I'd just left my job at Google and was excited to be working at this small, mysterious crypto trading firm. At the time, there had only been minor press coverage of Sam. Alameda/FTX were far from well known, even within tech circles. Hell, I only knew about the company because a bunch of early employees had also been students at Berkeley, and the news had spread to me through the grapevine. The office itself was nondescript, situated on the 4th floor of an ordinary-looking office building in downtown Berkeley. It was a place that I'd walked by many times during college. Ah, the humble beginnings before the billions of dollars of fraud. The 4th floor tenant's name on the directory was conspicuously empty, revealing only that they shared the building with names such as Pacific Lutheran Theological Seminary. Hardly neighbors one would expect from a multi-billion-dollar crypto trading firm. When I entered the office, FBF was sitting at his desk in the middle of the trading floor, taking a call while playing League of Legends in characteristic fashion. And yes, that was Alameda's trading floor. You'll come to find out, by the way, that there's certain details from this case where Sam Bankman-Fried is a bronze League of Legends player and he's obsessed with the game. And that's why he was putting hundreds of millions of dollars of other people's money into League of Legends esports and Riot Games and things like that. And there's even some stories where all this bad stuff's going down, that the exchange is literally just plummeting overnight. It's all crashing down around him. And he's on a conference call, sitting there playing League of Legends. The guy's just a fucking mad one. The guy's a mad... How people gave this man billions of dollars, I'll never know. But it's just cryptocurrency, man. Despite the fact that on paper Sam had already transitioned to running FTX full-time, in practice both companies were highly intertwined. Joint offices, social events and housing arrangements between both companies was the norm, but more on that later. I'm not sure who he was talking to, but I caught fragments of their conversation from Sam's end. Quote, decentralization is the future. aged like fucking milk, as the kids say. The single most valuable thing you can do for yourself is to drop whatever you are doing and get into crypto. If he also told them to get out right before it all went to shit, great advice, because you'd have made loads of money. But if he told people to get in and then they didn't get out, not good advice. They've lost most of their money. This was the first of many contradictions that I would see with Sam. On the one hand, he would extol the virtues of decentralized permissionless finance to anyone who would listen, but custodial KYC derivatives exchange isn't exactly a paragon of decentralization. This is, again, the interesting thing about cryptocurrency, whereby everyone always talks about the virtues of decentralization, but then they'll call you like a hater or fudder or tell you don't FUD, standing for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's one of the words that they love. They'll say that you don't know what you're talking about when you point out that even if you were to buy into this idea that in the future crypto is going to be all these things, right now, the vast majority of the infrastructure of cryptocurrency is almost so intertwined with Web 2 and centralized processes, and how most people use it is interacting with centralized exchanges and things like that. The actual decentralized aspect of it is not that big of a thing in most people's lives. And obviously without Web 2 it just couldn't operate, and they even use all the Web 2 socials and everything, and it's years and years away. When people say, oh, you're still early if you're in crypto now, they're not necessarily wrong. Obviously, you've got to sort of buy into the idea that it's going to continue going, and this is the tech revolution, and it's going to be crypto and blockchain and decentralization that continues to push forward, which is a massive leap, because it could just be, it could be the VHS. It could just die out. It could be HD DVD versus Blu-ray. It could be that blockchain is the HD DVD, and then in a couple of years, somebody's going to make the Blu-ray, and then all this is going to go away. But realistically, if they do keep building, they will essentially have all the stuff that they've said they've got now. It's just, at the moment, it's all kind of like a lie. Bit of a Ponzi scheme on the surface of things. And that's the entire industry. So inside you, there are two wolves, I guess, or something, furry. Later that night, we ordered Sliver Pizza and chatted over a game of Bug House, another favourite of Sam's, as opposed to his new favourite, which is Big House, which is where he's currently residing. And he revealed his plan to move the entire company to a tiny island in the Caribbean. Of course he did. Gotta love those taxes. I'm surprised he didn't do what a couple of other crypto people have been caught doing by the government recently, where they literally say, yeah, let's just move to somewhere that doesn't extradite to the US. Because that's obviously what you'd be worried about if you were operating a legit business. So I knew nothing about the Bahamas at the time, but as Sam spoke, it became clear that he had done his research. Quote, did you know that FTX's revenue is greater than 10% of the Bahamas GDP? I didn't know, but a quick Google search revealed that he probably wasn't far off. FTX's revenue, $1 billion over 2021, more than 1,000% they made in the previous year. Pretty good business, some might say. Some might say it's crazy that you fucked that one up when you could have just operated it and printed money. The fucking greed on these people, man. That's the thing that gets me most. You could have just left this alone and you would have printed billions and billions of dollars, even in personal wealth over years. But instead, just never enough, is it? Once you get the money, you need the power and the influence, of course. So Sam's vision for FTX, as he went on to explain, extended far beyond just a crypto exchange. He talked about building a vaccine factory in the Bahamas to fix the invisible graveyard caused by slow FDA approvals. All good to talk about it. Did he do it? No. Of course he didn't. He discussed the strategizing that had gone into the political donations made by the FTX executives. He talked about hypothetical future technologies like iterated embryo selection and the importance of not letting China get the lead in fundamental biotech research. And of course he talked about malarial bed nets and veganism too. I can already imagine what my comment section is going to look like. There's going to be loads of people they're talking about he's never going to go to prison because he donated to the Dems, like every other time I talk about this guy. Then there's going to be a load of other people going, he'll never go to prison because he's Jewish. And now also there's just going to be loads of people going, yeah, of course he was a vegan. League of Legends, soy drinking vegan. He didn't just want to build a company, he wanted to build a machine, a growing sphere of influence that could break past the walls of that little office in Berkeley and wash over the world as a force for good. And to do it, He defrauded everybody, stole their money, allegedly. Not just a company, but a monument to effective altruism. As a starry-eyed new hire, it was hard not to get drawn in by the boldness of Sam's vision. Much like a fucking cult. Many of us had joined the company precisely because we wanted to do good in the world with cryptocurrency. And here was a billionaire, not yet 30 years old. Yeah, I mean, you should have known this was fucking coming, because he sat there playing League of Legends on a call related to business in an office full of people. That's just psychotic. So he was using his fortune to bankroll a radical new vision of the future, not to mention with his self-effacing and awkward demeanour. I suppose many of us saw a little bit of ourselves in him as well. It must have been that soy, I guess. Over the next year and a half, my life was transformed in ways I could never have imagined. Here is a picture of a nice place with a pool. My life's been transformed. I got that fucking bag. Money, 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 money. I experienced opulence, the likes of which I'd only seen before in movies. Opulence being great luxury and wealth. So I've got flown around the world on a regular basis between Berkeley, Hong Kong and the Bahamas, brushed elbows with celebrities, sports icons and political figures. I bet this has got to be intoxicating though. You know, if you're just some guy, used to work at Google, he's probably got money, he's probably going to earn a lot of money throughout his life because he's obviously good at what he does and highly educated, but probably not going to be a billionaire, right? And when you're brushing elbows with people like this, when you are living that life and seeing this vast wealth, that's got to be intoxicating. You're just constantly out there, like, doing crazy shit, seeing crazy shit. I can imagine wanting to live this life. Yeah, of course. Yet at the same time, I saw irresponsibility, careless risk management for a company handling billions of dollars in capital, technical debt that would make any software engineer shed a tear, millions lost in wasteful spending, and the hubris that it wouldn't matter. I mean, if they weren't performing the crime, like if they just weren't criming real quick, it wouldn't have really mattered if they were just wasting millions, because you can do that when you're raking in that much money. Obviously, it's not prudent to do so. It's not a good business strategy. But they probably would have been right that it wouldn't matter as long as they didn't commit all the fraud. Of course, Sam didn't end up building a vaccine factory or eradicating malaria. His customers, investors and employees, the ones who trusted him most, are financially devastated. And the ruins of the half-built FTX headquarters lay strewn across the beaches of Nassau. FTX headquarters, growth in progress. Wah wah. Never again. Sam himself is behind bars at MDC, having violated the terms of his house arrest. Even after all this, it seems he's incapable of following the rules. He obviously doesn't think the rules apply to him. I wonder if they're going to let him play League of Legends in prison when he gets federally charged and has to go to prison for a long time, which I can't see any world in which he doesn't. I know there's a lot of conspiracies out there about this and that he's never going, and, Biden's going to reach in and drag him out personally. He's going to walk in and walk him out like he's a child and he's taking him to the zoo. I just don't see it happening. There's so much evidence that you can find with just a simple Google search that you have to imagine the federal government has way more when they have access to all the text messages and interviews with all the employees and things like that, and testimony from people who have flipped. Yeah, I just can't imagine he isn't going to be in prison. But yeah, I wonder if they'll let him play some video games. Over the past months, I've seen tons of speculation online about FTX and Alameda. Unfortunately, not all of it has been based in reality. What were Sam, Caroline and the others like in person? Was it all just a scam? How was life in the Bahamas? People deserve to know. This is the end of the thread here, so I guess we're never going to fucking get to know. Unfortunately, the story of my time at FTX Alameda is too complex to put in a single thread. If you're interested in hearing more about the shenanigans that happen on the inside, drop a reply here. If this gets enough traction, I'll turn it into a regular series. And here's the thread in blog format. Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in hearing some more actual, like, personal anecdotes and stories about dealing with Sam. Because, like I say, it's just interesting to follow this man. Because he's a bit of a madman. So yeah, there we go. Totally checks out. I would have loved some more substance in there, but still found it interesting. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.